Baby Jesus Eyes by E.S. Wynn. Innocence lives in children like a white sheet, a blank canvas, and life is a hurricane of paint, snot, and blood. When we are children, we are the sky. We live among the clouds, feel nothing but the cool drafts of winter, the steady heat of summer. Grandma B used to tell me that God protected children, that those who died young automatically went to heaven, just bypassed St. Peter, collected the $200, and settled in with God and Jesus like apples in a giant cosmic fruit basket. The cutoff for free admittance was age 12, but if you went before that, if you fell out of a tree or drank poisoned water from the swamp cooler, you had nothing to fear, nothing to atone for. No matter how naughty you were, how often you slammed doors, turned your parents against each other, or got coal for Christmas, you could always get into heaven until you hit age 12. I never asked her why afterlife insurance expired after age 12. I always assumed the answer was printed plainly somewhere in the book she carried with her to church every morning, the worn and tired, too-long manuscript that seemed to hold all the secrets to a universe that didn't seem all that big to me then. To her, the Bible was an anchor, enlightenment, a keyring to doors inaccessible to heathens like my mother, nature worshippers like my mother's grandmother. Heaven isn't for animals, she told me, and as much as I knew I would miss the feral cats that mewled and scattered whenever I tottered after them, I believed her. She had read the book. She knew the secrets of the universe. Dad, if you could be any animal, what kind of animal would you be? I'm 7, and Lake Maloney's is as big as the ocean to me. An endless, depthless, cold and abyssal, Lovecraftian nightmare in placid brown green. My father's boat, a relic of his failed marriage, feels as safe to me against the imagined horrors of the lake as blankets do against the kinds of monsters that lurk in closets and under beds. My father takes a moment to stare out over the lake, pull a gulp from a beer that kids joke comes from a factory south of the belly button. Human, he says with a grin, giving that cinematic ah as the bubbles rattle through his gullet like the seeds of a cancer still waiting to take root there. Because humans can ride motorcycles and use chainsaws. In this memory I begin to protest, to smile slyly with the knowledge that I've caught him in a falsity, that I finally have a chance to assert my budding personality and be the one who sets him straight. My sheet, my canvas of self is still white, but I'm proud of the stains it bears, the blood, the snot, the flying paint. I'm eager to sling a little paint myself. Paint his own mother should have given him when he was a child, and the secrets of the book were still fresh and vibrant. Grandma B says I have baby Jesus eyes, that she can see Christ in my smile. Domination never comes. Instead, I remember a moment from a past that seems like an aeon ago, something lost through 2 years of spreading, cycling eternity. In that moment I am 5. I am at the country fair, and my mother is standing at my side. Before me is a test, a trial of early manhood, an ominous cabinet of polished wood with a sign that asks, "What is the most dangerous animal in the forest?" Like a soldier I steel myself for roars or jack-in-the-box lions as my tiny fists tighten across rough wooden handles, nodding fearfully, hesitating just long enough for my mother to put her hands on my shoulders, urge me to open the cabinet doors. Like a soldier, I do as I'm told. I open the cabinet, and I don't close my eyes. You are. A red light comes on, and in a mirror fixed to the back of the cabinet, another 5-year-old stares blankly back at me, half frustrated, half confused. That's dumb, I say as I turn to my mother. Humans aren't animals. Sure they are, she says, and I pause a moment as this new splash of paint hits the canvas of my mind. More secrets of an ever-widening universe, a key from the keyring of heathens to doors inaccessible to those who carry the keys of the book, to prayer warriors like Grandma B. My mother is put in charge of her first crop of students just after I turn 10, and like an acolyte aspiring to priesthood, I am raised within her words, a monk occupying an empty desk, holding each new key as gospel, brimming, running over with the spirit of Darwin, Linnaeus, Johansen, the Leakeys, and countless others. To my 10-year-old self, my mother is the smartest woman in the world, and the only gaps in her gospel come where the shadows of spirit intrude like tentacles reaching from some nameless abyss. Like a holy infant, Grandma B carries me into the chapel, where men and women drop to the floor, shriek and convulse with the Spirit of the Lord. Her hands are tender, mild, and her eyes run with fresh tears of fear and joy, of reverence, and in another 10 minutes I am full of the same fear and reverence. The same joy as the man in the cloth, who lays his warm, gnarled hands upon my back and demands the demons that have darkened my baby Jesus' eyes to come out. That night I throw open the door of my grandmother's trailer and scream at Satan, shake my fist, and curse in the same way that 15 years later I will shake my fist and curse at a man with a sign using the words, "Fuck you," and "Fuck Christ." A handful of months later, I spend my 24th Halloween at Disneyland. Get there late so I can go in costume. The tickets are sweaty in my little sister's hands. I'm doing it for her, I say, but the truth is that I miss the experience. I miss the act of trick-or-treating, the scavenger hunt mystery of collecting strange sweets in the dark. I'm single, jobless, lost in a labyrinth of college, soon to spit me out into the street with a meaningless degree and a student loan heavier than most car payments. My favorite instructor has simultaneously screwed me over and put me on a path less deadening than the future in education I was aiming for. I'm nothing. No one buys or reads anything I write, and the only thing of any value I have is my youth. I'm already at the bottom. I don't care what anyone thinks. I let down my long auburn hair, brush out my lazy beard, and pull on a $40 costume that makes me look like Jesus. The woman at the orange-shaped swing set ride says she can see baby Jesus in my eyes. I smile sadly, wondering why so many people seem to think Christ was Caucasian, that he had blue eyes. Later, I'll point and grin for countless pictures, hug a dozen kids, and piss off a fat guy dressed as Caesar. Waiting for a bus, I hear a man tell his kids to behave. Jesus is watching, he says, and the paint of the memory adds a lighter, kinder shade to the tired, bloody canvas of my mind. My sister's canvas is still clean in those Disneyland days, carries only a few badges of blood and snot that will manifest into little things like obsessive hand-washing or endless, unrepentant arguing. At her age, at 7, my canvas is half as stained, bears only the marks of divorced parents, with hours of sad road between them, and the paint and snot of a school I hated, a school that tried to break me, and failed. Sometimes I wonder who the real failure was. Most times I'm too old inside to care. Filth is relative. Some would say that I'm still young, that my canvas is still clean, that I still live among the clouds, feeling nothing but the cool drafts of winter, the steady heat of summer. Sometimes my dreams are vapor. Sometimes I hang my head and cry about things that passed beyond repair decades ago. Sometimes I wonder what it really means to sin, what it means to be an animal, to breathe the blood of life and come out the other side reborn in an orgiastic hail of hangovers and body-deep regret. Part of being human. I'm just a footnote in history anyway. I'll keep pounding caffeine and keyboards like booze until the world rots away into oblivion around me. After all, I'm too old to go to heaven now. All I have left are my baby Jesus eyes. If you enjoyed this story, and you would like to read more by the author, come to Wynn's website at www.eswyn.com.